going to make a comment on these two things you mentioned. First, Xi Jinping is not there. But I can tell you, Xi Jinping is lurking behind the scene every single step, from August the 15th to August the 18th, when Trump was meeting the European and the Zelensky in White Houses. Every single stage, Beijing's interest and Xi Jinping's interest is right there on the table. Is right there, although Xi Jinping is not sitting at the table, but people around that table, I bet you, they talk about Xi Jinping and China. Maybe not in front of the camera,
right?
Possibly in the closed door, because I can tell you,
no live mic instances that we're aware of at this moment.
Exactly, because people say if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So that's why Xi Jinping is here.
I've never heard that. I love that.
Yes. So yeah. So Xi Jinping is so rattled, and I think why. And there's no doubt, like if you look at the mainstream media or whatever independent news media talking about Ukraine, I mean, if you look at the past, particularly from earlier this year, maybe March, April, Ukraine's attitude towards the CCP is increasingly frustrated, if I could use that words. So Ukraine has been criticizing the CCP aiding Russia troops, military, soldiers, whatever. They have even threatening release more information about how CCP is actually helping and aiding Russia fueling this 3 years coming to 4 years kind of a war, okay, between these two countries. So Ukraine hates China, okay? And then if you look at European leaders sitting across the table, European has its own reason to hate China. We're talking about national interest. We're about countries' interests. We're not talking about those compromised individuals' interests, because when we talk about compromised individual by the CCP, it's a completely different conversation, okay? But these are on the world stage diplomatic relationships. We're talking about stay relationships. So what can be talked at the table is they all have common enemy. Look at European. Okay, European has a dumping issue with EV. They have theft, cybersecurity issue with the Chinese Communist Party. Yep. They have trade issues. Every single nation that sit at the table in the in the White House on August 18th has the same grieving list with every other countries on planet Earth that refer to as a global North. Okay, the democracy is having the same issue. So when they, and I don't have to mention about U.S., they pretty much all know how the CCP has been, kind of practicing their predatory activities and practices in many fronts of your society, like including economic, trade, finance, cultural, entertainment kind of exchange. They do those kind of things. They infiltrate you, subvert you from within. And that is a common experience among the people sitting around the table. And that's even including Putin, even including Russia, because just 6 days before the Alaska summit on August 15th, yes. There is an intelligence leak from the hacker, basically, hacked into, I think was, don't get me wrong, because I have to check the facts. You can check it online. It was a hacker that hacked into German intelligence or something, get a hold of documents from Russian intelligence services. So basically from the documents, you can search online, you can find it. And an insider on August the 14th has a very good report on that. So basically they discovered from the leaked documents, the hacker obtained the documents, the hacker group called Black Moon. They published in late July.
And who is believed to be Black Moon?
It's a Russian. I don't know actually. I have no clue. But they got hands into Russian intelligence and their documentation about some of the Russians' initiatives that aiding the Chinese People's Liberation Army in terms of providing, the automated command system, basically know-how for their military buildup, for their landing gear in terms of in their military weapons. Okay, so and the hacking group released a lot of information in terms of how Russia not only the know-how but also the expertise, but also they shed a light on the Russian has been very very suspicious towards the Chinese intelligence. Okay, because they don't trust the Chinese government, the CCP, although they have a very good relationship. They declare a no-limit partnership, Putin and Xi, back in February 2022. They say, we're going to be really buddy-buddy. I'm going to help you. You're going to help me. Plus, they have a very deep personal tie because of, financial entanglement between these two families, right? So we're talking about the two individual level. But they cannot trump the national interest, because national interest doesn't come and go, does not determine by who a dictator is. I mean, the dictator eventually will die, right? It's lucky that he find an heir and then continue is like king in North Korea, but very often they die, the family died, they lose their control and to another dictator or to another group of people.
Yeah, another group rises. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're betting on dictator, your risk is really high. And Putin understand that. So that's why if you look dig back into a few months ago, and there's a lot of leaked documents documented saying that the Russian intelligence are very suspective and very caution, I would say, use the words, towards the Chinese spy and espionage activities. Because they do the same thing. The Communist Party does the same thing to the free world as they do in Russia. They spy, they infiltrate, they steal their technologies.